You, of course, are listening to the MHA podcast. Why in the world would you play Isaiah McKenzie over your third-round pick, T. Higgins? Why? I like any quarterback that can make Will Fuller look good.
I love it. I think he's a top 20 receiver.
I mean, he is the Jamar Chase whisperer.
Oh, hell yes. Oh, my God.
You know, everybody loves Lamar Jackson.
Hated it.
I trust Derek Carr.
Come on. For real?
I know why you did. It's because you're crazy.
It's still the week and the games aren't even over yet. It's great. It's fantastic.
Fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Patrick Mahomes. Looks so good. Kyle Pitts was bad.
It's not my shebang. Justin Jefferson.
So good.
We could call him Russell Wilson if you want.
Ooh. Well done, sir. That is good stuff. All of those guys have more fantasy points than Tom Brady. I'm laughing, but I'm crying at the same time. It's terrible. What is going on, MHA owners? Yes, we're still rolling with the podcast here, despite the season being a few weeks old, but that's okay. We're excited to talk about a couple things on the show, things that, you know, we'll look back on some of our predictions. We'll talk about where we went right, of course, where we went wrong. We'll take a look at the board bets. We'll also take a look at some bold predictions we made way back. And if we have time, which I think we will, we'll do a quick, way too early mock draft of the first round. Gentlemen, Mike Renaud, Todd Diamond, myself, Eric Lansing, how we doing?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Man, I love doing podcasts with you guys. You guys are having the best time. Let's go.
This podcast, yes, this is the one where, we obviously talk about what we were right about and wrong about. But, at the end of the day, fellas,
here we go.
I mean, I'm the champ. So I was right. I was right. I was right all season.
At the very end of the podcast. Like, despite everything we talked about, Todd was right because he won the podcast or won the championship. No, I don't have to say it.
Yeah.
Well done.
Got it out of the way.
Got it out of the way. How are we doing, Miguel?
I'm good. I'm kosher.
He's kosher. Yeah. He's good. He's fantastic. Still talking fantasy football, guys. Season's way over.
I know. What are we doing here?
I don't know. I want to be like eating some bonbons and watching movies, but I'm here to talk about fantasy football. I guess it's pretty cool. I guess there's worse things.
Yeah. We can just say, hey, you were right about this and in your face. And then we can say, well, I was wrong about that. And I'm going to go, just take it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this question. Did you guys go back and listen to the podcast to see where you were right and where you were wrong? Or am I going to have to bring up everything and you guys are just going to talk about it?
Yeah. I think the only one I do remember was the Derek Carr one, but you might have to refresh a little bit.
We'll get to that. But I asked you, did you go back and listen to the podcast? Mikey, that's Todd. That's no. I'm assuming Mikey's also a no. Well done. I did all the work.
I listened to a couple.
Oh, man. That's okay. I will go through it, and I will tell you everything that I did right, which is everything, and didn't do anything wrong. Well, you guys did everything wrong. Does that sound good?
I don't think that's true.
That's not true? Well, I did the homework. You didn't. So, although it's if you follow it all, you know where the areas where I was wrong because they were pretty wrong. Let's get into it then, okay, gentlemen. All right, I'll ask you guys each. Todd, you said you knew where you were right, or at least one. Is that what you were getting ready to talk about before?
No, I was saying one of the things I was wrong about.
Okay, we'll get back to it. Well, let's go to something you were right about.
Okay.
How about DeAndre Swift? Todd said he was going to rush for 1,000 yards this year, guaranteed. Although, he said he would also have 70 receptions. He was one of two. Mikey said on his rant, because Todd went on a huge rant about this, by the way, and he was half right. So well done. You were half right. DeAndre Swift barely ran over for 1,000 yards. It was like 1,040 yards. Good job. Right. Look at that. DeAndre Swift. Well done. All right. We'll just keep going here. Mikey, where were you right at? Is there anything that you remember that stands out? that you just memorized? That, yeah, I was right about that. I'm brilliant. Mikey? Uh-oh. Did we lose Mikey?
Uh-oh.
I think we lost Mikey.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Oh. Well, aren't you answering my question?
Because you were cutting out.
I'm cutting out. I hear myself just fine. So, Mikey.
I think Todd was hearing you cut out too.
Was I cutting out, Todd?
A little bit.
Oh, well. All right. Well, we'll just keep going. So, Mikey, I was asking. Lord. So, Mikey, I was asking, do you remember anything that you were right about this year? Did anything stand out that you were just vehemently telling us at the beginning of the season you were going to be right about? Anything?
I remember stating that Baker Mayfield was going to be a sleeper, and I remember that Todd was giving me all kinds of crap about it because he thought that Derek Carr was going to be better than him.
Yes, this is correct. Well done. You said that Baker Mayfield would be a sleeper candidate, had sleeper potential, and he finished 8th. That's incredible. I don't know if that's how high you figure he would be, but because of all the quarterbacks that went down with injuries. And that goes back to Todd, because Todd was also right about Derek Carr, by the way, because Derek Carr finished as the top 12 quarterback, and that's what Todd said he would finish. Look at that. Derek Carr, the state of quarterbacks in 2023, excuse me.
I thought I said he was going to finish his top 5, but okay. That works for me. I'll take it.
If it was top 5, I felt like I would have. I think you were talking about Trevor Lawrence. You said Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I remember. Yeah.
And that was more of a bold prediction
top
than
3,
anything else. And I'm not going to dish you for getting bold predictions wrong. So, Derek Carr, top 12, finished exactly at 12. Well done. So smart, gentlemen. Let me get back to my notes here. Some areas where I was right. Both myself and Mikey said that we wanted nothing to do with Odell Beckham. However, I think Mikey drafted Odell Beckham. So I don't know if that's a right or a wrong, but I didn't want anything to do with him. And Todd said, oh man, Odell, he's going to be motivated. Well, Todd said a lot of people were going to be motivated this year. You guys know where Odell Beckham Jr. finished this year? 69th.
40.
69th. He was terrible. Yuck.
That's gross.
I think we lost Mikey again. No, there he is.
No, I'm here.
Okay. You're just awfully quiet. Trying to have this conversation. It's all me.
Okay.
Okay. We'll just keep on going.
Okay.
Where else was Todd right this year? Let's say, how about, and I'm going to let Mikey decide if you were right about this one. So Todd said that Zay Flowers is a Tyreek Hill comp. Now, this is what Zay Flowers finished with at the end of the year. 153 points, 77 receptions, 858 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill in his rookie year, 61 receptions, 593 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Zay Flowers, pretty comparable numbers. What do you think, Miguel? Was Todd right?
I still don't see him as a Tyreek Hill comp, but Zay Flowers was really, really good. So I give Todd some credit for that.
He says he gets half credit, Todd.
Okay, hey, half is better than nothing. I'll take it.
All right, he's gonna take it. Where else was Mikey right? There was a couple more. Let's go to this next one. Here's one. We talked about Todd being on the fence on this last one we talked about, but let's look at this one, and Mikey can defend himself. Mikey, in one of the earlier podcasts, may have been the running back podcast, talked about David Montgomery. Said Montgomery would be in a similar role to Jamal Williams from the previous year. A lot of touchdown potential. And David Montgomery had an incredible season, especially on the touchdown end, 13 touchdowns. However, do you know what that however is, Miguel?
No.
You put Montgomery on your bus list in terms of running backs. So I don't know if I should give you credit or not for that one.
Well,
That's what I think about that. That's what I think. And then, it's interesting because, when I went through this, we all have differing, we change our minds, right? One thing I'll talk about here in a moment about Mikey is that he saw some stuff. He said one thing early, changed his mind, and he admitted, like, I changed my mind. I like what I see from this guy, and that's gonna happen when we go through those earlier shows. It's just unfortunate because Mikey changed his mind from when he was right to now where he was wrong. But that's okay.
Yeah, sometimes you're wrong.
That's right, and that's why we're talking about it. How about another place Eric was right? Guess who Eric had as his sleeper quarterback this year?
Josh Allen.
Oh, Matthew Stafford.
He was one of them, but I think I changed it because someone else was kind of talking about Matt Stafford, but I said Brock Purdy. Finished 13th overall. I was talking about Brock Purdy and all the weapons he had on his squad, so I'm going to take a little credit for that one.
Is he a sleeper if he finishes behind Derek Carr?
That is a good point. However, Brock Purdy was not on a lot of people's radars, and I think I convinced Todd myself for him to draft him, and he went on to help Todd win a fantasy championship, which is really what it's all about.
Absolutely, it is. I mean, come on. I mean, it's Brock Purdy. Who'd have thunk it? Yeah, had great weapons around him, but was he going to do what he's? Yeah, that was pretty good. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Well done. All right, let's go back to Todd and find something else he was right about. How about Geno Smith? Do you remember what you said about Geno Smith?
Let's see. I said that. Well, I probably maybe mentioned something that he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. And I think that he was going to finish as a top 20 wide receiver, top 10 top 20 quarterback.
What you said about Geno Smith is that he was actually your bust at quarterback pick, and you were right. I mean, he finished 17th, but that was, especially with all the hurt quarterbacks, he still finished outside the top 12. Like Derek Carr had a better fantasy season than he did. And so, well done. Geno Smith was going to have a bad year, and he did. Thanks for that, because that definitely hurt me. That's all let's go back to something else. Mikey was right. Let's see. He had a couple of them here. How about, Mikey, you remember what you said about Jahmyr Gibbs?
I remember comping him to Kamara, but I mean that's pretty much what I do remember about him.
Yeah, you also had him as your sleeper running back this year, and he finished 9th. So that's good stuff. Jahmyr Gibbs was incredible this year, and you saw it before anyone else, for the most part. Where else was I right at? I said, let's see. I said Kirk Cousins was going to have a good season because he will have to throw a lot with that defense because it was so terrible. And he was the number 1 quarterback before he got hurt. So I like that one. That made me sound smart for half a second.
Yeah, no, that's a good call.
half a second. We'll do one more right, and then we'll move on to the wrongs. So one more right for Todd. He said that Russell Wilson was going to have a bounce back season, at least better than his 2022 season. And that was correct. Now, it depends on your definition of bounce back. Now, we've seen Russell Wilson have some amazing fantasy seasons where he would finish in the top 5. He finished first one year as well. I don't know if Todd meant that, but he at least had a better season than he did the year before. We can all agree on that.
Yeah, that's for sure.
593 points, 3,000 yards passing, 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, 3 rushing touchdowns. Better season than last. I was definitely not on the Russell Wilson train. In fact, I think I had him as my bust quarterback. Another place that Mikey was correct Let's see. I'll save this one because I think we kind of talk about Miles Sanders in a second. But one thing that you were pretty high or vehemently on the side against was Justin Fields. You said he would be a bust quarterback, and he was. Finished 21st despite the state of quarterbacks this season. He only had 2,500 yards passing, 16 pass touchdowns, 9 interceptions, just 4 rushing touchdowns, and under 700 rush yards. Not a good season for Justin Fields, as much as I know Todd was really high on him. I thought he could improve, but he did not have a good year. Had some injuries, but even when he was on the field,
it sucks.
he stunk.
This is the worst. You are the worst. I hate looking at your face. I want to smash it.
It stinks. It stinks.
Mikey.
It stinks.
Can't stand him. Okay, one more where I was right at. I had a couple more. I did say Josh Allen would lead the Bills in rushing touchdowns, but that's probably not too crazy. All right. I don't know if this one counts. You guys can tell me if this one counts or not. So we had this long discussion at the beginning of the season where everybody was really high in Calvin Ridley, and I was higher on Christian Kirk. And Kirk got hurt. He played in 12 games, but he got hurt in the 12th. So I put 11 full games between Ridley and Kirk. Kirk had 106 points after 11 games. Ridley had 94. So I was feeling pretty good then. But then Kirk got hurt, a season-ending injury, and of course Ridley would go on and pass him. Does that count as Eric being right between the Kirk and Ridley scenario? Any thoughts?
I would say you're right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Mikey, what do you think? Injuries are a part of fantasy football, right? Not that Christian Kirk had a history of injuries, but
they were both average, so
So you're saying they both went too high?
Probably. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go on to where we were wrong. And we'll start with me just because, why not? Dak all day, Dak. Had him as a bust candidate. Was terrible, especially in moments. I actually felt good about him playing so terrible in that playoff game this past weekend, although his numbers helped him jumped up after the game was over. But Dak finished second overall. Incredibly wrong on Dak Prescott. Yeesh.
Yeah, I think that you just were so bitten by when you had him on your team and he didn't live up to your expectations that you
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like he was great the previous season either. I mean, it was 2 years ago that I had him. But Dak. Where was
You'll
Mikey?
end up drafting him next year.
Probably. We'll see how it all goes. We'll see. Can't say no. I try not to be the recency bias guy, but depending on where he falls, you might have to take him. Where was Mikey wrong? Mikey, you want to tell us where you were wrong?
I'm sure I was wrong about DJ Moore.
Say it. You're absolutely correct. DJ Moore. Mikey said, where wide receivers go to die is in Chicago. Since he had no confidence in Justin Fields, he had no faith in DJ Moore, who finished 7th overall amongst wide receivers. And Todd will say this is where he was correct as well, because DJ Moore was the highest, or I should say Todd was the highest on him. He had 15th, Adam 26th, Mikey 35th, and Mikey said Todd was ludicrous for putting him in the 15th spot. Ludicrous. Todd was right and ended up going to win the whole darn thing. But
yeah, isn't it nice?
How about where Todd was wrong? Mikey, you want to tell us where Todd was wrong? Where his biggest wrong was?
His biggest wrong?
Oh, it's not even close.
I mean, it has to be, like, if I had to think about it, it had to be the Calvin Johnson comparison with Quentin Johnson.
That is correct. Quentin Johnston, ladies and gentlemen, the second coming of Calvin Johnson, according to Todd. Let's take a look. Now, this could be interesting. Their numbers aren't too far off in terms of their rookie year. So for Quentin Johnston, 38 receptions, 431 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that's with injuries to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Austin Eckler. But Calvin Johnson in his rookie year, 48 receptions, 756 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Things Todd's still wrong about Quentin Johnston, though.
Yeah, I know. I wear that one.
Speak.
I wear that proudly that I was wrong. And I thought, well, he could potentially have a, he could have some type, Calvin Johnson type, and I was basing this all on what I saw in college and everything. And, especially going into that Chargers offense and everything. And nope. I mean, I was wrong. I was way wrong. I mean, he is far, 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 far away from what Calvin Johnson was. And, can Quentin Johnson, have a good career now? Yes, absolutely. But I was putting him in the Hall of Fame already before he even stepped out onto the field. So I was wrong.
Maybe Todd, maybe you'll be right about him one day. Maybe the whole offense was just broken from the start, and a fresh new start will allow him to blossom into the flower you think he will be.
Oh, that's beautiful, Miguel. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a very good sentiment there. But well, I mean, I guess they have to. First of all, they got to find a coach that can utilize the players properly too. And who knows? Maybe that'll, like you said, maybe that'll help Quentin Johnston. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think they got to fix Eckler first, but that's a different story for a different day.
All right, so back to it. Where else were we wrong? We'll go back to Eric Lansing. This was a tough one. I had this, and it might be just for the fact that I had such man crush for Ramondre Stevenson. He finished 34th. Now, he did miss the final 4 games of the season. And he did have 7 games where he had 10 or more points, 2 games where he had 20 or more points. However, his receptions were a little less than I thought he was going to be, even with the injuries. So, and where I had a man crush and was wrong on him, Todd had him as a bust, and he finished 34th. So, I'm going to have to eat that one. And I think Mike and I were both incredibly high. And we were incredibly higher than Todd. I don't know if Mikey was higher than me, but Todd didn't like him at all. And Todd was probably more right than we were.
Nice. I like it.
Nice. I like it. Where else was Mikey wrong this season? Let's talk about, I don't know. I'll let Todd decide this one, I guess. But
okay.
It was a hot take by Miguel. He would say that Deshaun Watson would return to form and had him as a sleeper quarterback. He said he would finish as a top 10 guy. Now, he was injured. So I don't want to just throw Mikey into the wolves, and he was totally wrong. But it seemed like when he was out there, he was still not very good. He had a 50-point game. He also had a 38, a 58, a 41, and a 37. I also had a -1 game, but I'm assuming he got hurt, so I won't hold that against him. But I'm not sure if Deshaun Watson lived up to Mikey's expectations. Mikey?
No, I mean, but it's hard to say. He played, 5 whole games? Like, I mean, who knows if he had the chance to play a full season, what would happen? I don't know. I mean, he wasn't great. Other than 1 game, he was okay. Yeah, I'll take being wrong on that one.
Do you agree with him, Todd?
Yeah, he's injured, but I mean, he's injured, but yeah, it's still you're paying Deshaun Watson too much money for
Hey,
him
I'm
not.
not paying him shit.
He ain't giving that money for Mikey at all. All right.
Still,
yeah. So let's go to where else was Todd right? Oh no, we're wrong. We're talking about the wrongs of the world, right? We're talking about the wrongs. Of the world. We're talking about the wrongs. How about this quote from Todd? He says, "Aaron Jones over Bijan Robinson all day, all day." Bijan had 209 points. Aaron Jones 114.
Aaron Jones was hurt for part of the season. Yes, and I had Robinson, ranked 4th in my rankings, and I had Jones, I think 10th. I guess if we were still basing it off in playoffs, Aaron Jones looks like the best running back. Right?
Sorry, playoffs don't count. Sorry, no. That's for all 3 of the touchdowns he scored, which just means, folks, if you don't know, Aaron Jones scored 3 touchdowns in a playoff game this past weekend. Todd's going to draft him in the second round again. Is that correct, Todd?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to. Are you kidding me? I mean, I could draft him in the first round or the second round. I mean, it doesn't matter. Aaron Jones is
first round for Aaron Jones. So you're gonna have the turn pick.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be one of those 2 picks.
Yep, I think so.
Todd, Mikey, tell him he's crazy.
Hey, he loves his guys.
Mikey's just saying that because that just means the other guys
he
will
drafted
fall
Aaron Jones, and he won the championship. So, yeah, he's not wrong.
Whatever. Todd also said he would take Bijan over Jahmyr Gibbs, no brainer, and Gibbs by 1 spot beat Bijan 214 to 209. It's not a big deal, but it was amongst the ones who were wrong. Another one I was wrong at, James Conner. I had him on my bus list. Of course, that Arizona stuff, especially at the beginning of the year. He ended up finishing 17th. Not a bad year for Conner. I mean, I think he was kind of being drafted around that spot, so it's hard to say that he was a bust.
Yeah, I thought he had a good year. I mean, considering he missed 4 games, like he could have finished way higher.
Yeah, he ended up with 9 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards rushing, and with running backs the way it finished out, had a pretty good year. So I was wrong on that one. My bad. But I mean, was anybody rushing out to pick up Arizona guys? No, not really. Also said Marquise Brown was going to be a bust. Now I was right on that one, but yeah, I wasn't high on the whole Arizona thing at the beginning of the year. Where else was Mikey wrong? Let's talk about one of these wide receiver busts he had at the beginning of the season. He said Devontae Adams would be a bust this year. Finished 10th. Is that bust category compared to where he went? He had 103 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 TDs.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I mean, it's still in the top 10. I mean, if he would have finished like in the maybe like outside, like maybe like the top 20, maybe then that's a bust, but still top 10.
Go ahead, Mikey. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
In my defense, I would argue that he was not Devontae Adams this year, that he's no longer the elite. And I think his stats show that. Like, he had 2 games, and this is why he has such a high point total, that were over 30. That really jumped his total. But then he had 9 times when he was under double figures. For Devontae Adams, 9 times. That's more than half.
Does it matter? Because he finished 10th. He was drafted as the 11th overall wide receiver.
But see, this is where we get in trouble with this. Well, he finished here because you're looking at an overall number.
I understand.
He was more boom or bust then he was consistent. That's what I'll say.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I mean, 100. I get you where it's 103. It goes back to that Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes conversation, right? Where Kelce finished third amongst tight ends, but didn't have the numbers we expected him to have. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Finished fourth, fifth amongst quarterbacks, which is still good, but didn't put up the same 900 points he had 2 years ago, or before this season, I should say. So that's kind of where your conversation's at.
Yeah, I mean, I can't look at a total number. Like I said, 9 times under 10 points. Like, that's not Devontae Adams.
Okay. I feel you. Let's go to Todd. Let's see. Oh, here's something. So, for those who remember the quarterback episode, Todd said Trevor Lawrence was going to introduce himself to the NFL. 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. Did he get that number, Miguel?
No, he's about 1,000 yards short.
Correct. I should say correct to you and wrong to Todd. Yep, 4,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. Introduce himself, Todd.
Oh, he introduced himself all right. Couldn't get another. Couldn't throw him for another 1,000 yards.
Oh, how dare he!
Son of a bitch!
And he played in 16 games. Had an 18-point game, a 27-point game, a few 30s in there. Had a 30 in there. He had, let's see how many 50-point games. He had a 51, a 50, a 59. Yeah, and that was 3 50-point games. Introduce himself, y'all.
Yeah. What's up?
All right. Well, we're about 32 minutes in. Let's go to the board bets real quick here. Let's see. We did 5 of them. And I'll go through these relatively quick. If you guys want to say something, you can yell at me and stop me. Board bet number 1. We did a board bet on the top rookie tight end. Mikey picked Michael Mayer, excuse me. Todd picked Luke Musgrave, and Eric picked Dalton Kincaid. Who won the board bet, guys?
Nobody, because it was Sam Laporta.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Eric won 92 points. Musgrave 52. Mayer 49. Eric wins the board bet. Number 2. Would Justin Fields finish as a top 10 quarterback? Did he, guys?
Nope.
He did not. Todd said yes. Eric and Mikey said no. Would Miles Sanders get at least 10 touchdowns? Todd was pretty, I don't know what the word would be. Really adamant. There you go. Miles Sanders would get at least 10 touchdowns. Did he get 10 touchdowns?
Yes, he did.
He did not. What are you talking about? No way.
He didn't. Todd's so surprised.
He had one touchdown this year. 432 yards rushing, 27 receptions, 1 touchdown. Todd said yes, he would get to 10 touchdowns. Eric and Mikey both said no. Let's go on to the next one. Another one kind of geared by what Todd thought. Would Garrett Wilson finish as a top 5 wide receiver? Did he get there?
Are we talking about like during a week or during the season?
He did not. Todd said yes. Aaron and Mikey said no.
Yeah, because you had Zach Wilson throwing the football. That's the problem.
Yes, that is one of the quirks. However, sorry. I mean, the same thing I've said about this in terms of last year. He was a good wide receiver with bad quarterbacks. So I don't think you can wholeheartedly say he was going to have a bad season, even if Eric Wilson? I don't even know who the quarterback was.
Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson from his quarterback. Who was his quarterback this year?
Oh, Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. See, I can't keep it all straight. Jets stink. Garrett Wilson, trying to find out where he finished here. Doesn't even look like in the top 25, 26, 27, 28. So Garrett Wilson finished 28th. All right, next board bet. Would David Njoku finish as a top 10 tight end? Did he finish as a top 10 tight end, everyone? Easy for me to say. Say it. Say it.
He did.
That is flipping correct.
Yeah.
He finished as a top 5 tight end.
Yeah.
Eric was correct. Todd was correct.
Yeah.
Mikey said no. However,
thank God for Joe Flacco. That's all I can say.
Who would have ever thought they'd say that? In the same conversation, Mikey said that he wanted Laporta over Njoku, and I said that was crazy. However, I did say Mikey's thoughts on Njoku not being a top 10 tight end was disrespectful and lacked common sense.
Not true, man. Flacco killed my board bet.
Oh, Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, everybody.
Njoku was terrible before he got there.
So, Eric got every single one of these board bets right. Good job, Eric. Mikey just missed one. Mikey just missed the Njoku.
Joe Flacco, Eric.
I will send him a bouquet of flowers. All right. Let's look at the bold predictions. I need to turn my pages over here. I have to say, Mikey did pretty well on this bold prediction page for sure. As soon as I get there. If I get there at any point today. Okay. Bold predictions. Mikey said Cortland Sutton would be a fantasy relevant wide receiver. Well, is that a true statement?
I think so.
Yeah.
10 touchdowns. Hell yeah, that is. That's a really good job by Mikey to somehow find Cortland Sutton. I mean, I know you guys were higher on the Broncos than I would, but man, that was impressive. Another one Mikey was right at. Mikey said Jahmyr Gibbs would finish as a top 10 running back. Did he finish that correctly? Is that a correct statement?
I think he did.
Finished 9th. Well done, Miguel. Killing it. Next year, people need to listen to Mikey. We had kind of talked about this already. Todd said David Carr would finish as a top 12 quarterback. And yes, he did. Exactly 12.
Yay.
Although his stats don't look great. 3,800 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 8 picks.
Todd must have known that all these quarterbacks were going to get hurt.
A lot of quarterbacks got hurt this year. A lot. Let's see. I was wrong. One of the bold predictions, I said DK Metcalf would finish number 1. He finished 24th. Not a good season for him. Obviously, Todd mentioned at some point Garrett Wilson, number 1 fantasy wide receiver, finished 28th or 27th, excuse me. Mikey said Jefferson would break the MHA fantasy points record and the Cooper Cup record. I can't remember which record. It just says record. I don't know if it was the Triple Crown or whatever, but Jefferson got hurt, so it's hard to say, but he didn't do it. Here's a terrible one by Eric. Rashad Penny would have more fantasy points than DeAndre Swift. So you guys want to guess how many points Rashad Penny had this year?
Like -2.
What's that?
-2.
Close. It was 2. 178 for DeAndre Swift.
That was pretty good.
I think that was it. Yes, that's what I have written down here. So well done, Miguel. There were some good ones in there. I applaud you. Good job. Okay, you guys want to do this mock draft first round?
Yeah, love me some mock drafts.
I know you do. So this is how I set it up. I made sure that all 3 of us got the pick we actually have next year. However, in doing that, I had to mix up the end so it wouldn't be Todd 2 times in a row. So here's how it's going to go. And if you guys want to write this down, or I can keep track, it's fine. But just so you know. So Mikey's going to have the number 1 pick. Todd's going to have the number 2 pick. Me will have the number 3 pick. Mikey will have the 4th pick. Todd will have the 5th pick. Eric's going to have his regular pick he's going to have next year at number 6. Mikey is going to have the 7th pick, as he will next year in next year's draft. And then it's Todd at number 8. And then Eric at number 9. And so in order for Todd to have the 12th, I end up going Mikey, Eric, Todd. So it's Mikey at 10, Eric at 11, and Todd at 12. Okay?
Okay.
We feel good. We have everything written down so you can keep track and so forth and so forth. We feel good?
Yep. Let's rock and roll.
So, Mikey, you get the number 1 overall pick. Who's it going to be? Justin Jefferson, Christian McCaffrey. Now, the quarterback's going to have a better year next year, and you pick the highest quarterback you think is going to finish
No, I'm just going to take Christian McCaffrey because he's the best player, and I don't want Todd to take him.
Yes, indeed. CMC, number 1. No surprises there. Todd, is it Aaron Jones at number 2?
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go CeeDee Lamb.
Wow, CeeDee Lamb, huh? Over Justin Jefferson?
Yep.
Why is that? Any particular reason?
No, I think CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb definitely showed. He can be that. He's really a true number 1 wide receiver, and I think I would take him over Justin Jefferson.
Mistake. I'm taking Justin Jefferson at number 3. Now we don't know that. See, now this should have been your answer, Todd. Well, I know CeeDee Lamb more than likely he's going to have Dak next year. Well, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be for Minnesota. So I'm going to assume. I don't know if assuming is the right word, but based on information, I'm going to hope that Kirk Cousins comes back, and I'm going to go Justin Jefferson. I still think he's the best wide receiver in the league, and no matter which quarterback, I think he'll still put up incredible numbers. Mikey, back to you. CMC, CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson. Who's at number 4?
I will go at Tyreek Hill.
You liked what you saw from him this year?
Yeah, he was awesome. He was one of our MVP candidates.
He was. And I mentioned in that episode that he's the only wide receiver ever to have more than one 1,700 or more yard season. So incredibly impressive. All right, back to you, Todd. It's been a running back and 3 wide receivers.
I'm gonna go Kyren Williams.
Whoa, my goodness, that is a big jump. So over guys like Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs and the top of the top, but you like him, huh?
Mm-hmm. Sure do.
All right. So that makes my decision easy. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase. I know that he had a tough season, but put up big numbers when his boy Joe Burrow was around. Joe Burrow was hurt. I think Jamar Chase was also not 100% this year, so I feel easy picking him at number 6. Back to you, Mikey. So CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Kyren Williams, and Jamar Chase. Who do you got? This would be your pick at number 7.
I'll go with Josh Allen.
Oh, there's the first quarterback. I love it. Would that be something you do on your draft day, Miguel?
Maybe. I'm not opposed to it.
He's not going to divulge anything.
No,
I love it. All right, Todd, back to you.
I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs.
So here's the third running back off the board, the guy who finished 9th last year. No worries that David Montgomery had 13 touchdowns this year. And I'm not saying Jahmyr Gibbs was bad. He actually had more points than David Montgomery. But are there other running backs that have a better opportunity to score 10 to 13 touchdowns where Jahmyr Gibbs may not?
The way that offense is, I'm not worried. And I think maybe going in next year, I think they're going to utilize him even more and maybe put him really as the primary back, and Montgomery will just, kind of be that. I mean, obviously, Montgomery's not quite as change of pace back as Gibbs is, but I think Gibbs definitely showed enough where he's one of their best weapons on that team.
All right, so the third running back. So we go back to Mikey. So far, CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Kyren Williams, Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs. And so for my next pick, I'm going to go back to the wide receiver well. How about Amon-Ra St. Brown, who finished 3rd amongst wide receivers this year, 119 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 10 TDs. I don't see much changing in that offense next year. He's a stud. Would love to have him as my number 1 wide receiver. Mikey, to you, your final pick in this first round mock draft.
I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs. And I know
Stephon Diggs.
And I know people are going to, crap on him because of the way the season finished. But, I mean, he's still going to be in a good situation in Buffalo. Like, I'm not going to let, 5 or 6 games define, who was. I still remember who he was that first half of the season.
He was the guy I had up and I have like 15 players picked. He was still in that mix for me. So I agree with you. It didn't end well, but he's still a stud, and he still has Josh Allen, and unless they bring in someone else to help on the other side, I think he'll be just fine. So this is back to me because we wanted Todd at his final pick. So this was a tough one. Looking at the names I have on this list, there is a couple running backs, but also a wide receiver on the list and a quarterback. If I'm picking today, it's a bold pick, but I'm going to go back to Austin Eckler. It was a real tough season. He had some big games, though, this year, though. And so if they can we don't know who the coaching staff is, but he's too darn good and too darn good of an offense with weapons around. I think he can have a rebound year. He had 2 really good years in a row. It was between we'll talk about it after we get to this last pick, and then Todd can make his final pick. So Todd, this would be your pick since you won the championship. Who would you take at this spot?
Well, I could still get this player in the second, the beginning of the second round, but with my first pick in the last round, we're gonna go Debo Samuel.
You mean the last pick in the first round?
Yes.
Yeah. But okay, Debo Samuel. He had we had him in our comeback player of the year candidate talk. And did some pretty good things back with this, with the 49er offense, and a couple of 49ers here with CMC and Debo Samuel. Some other guys I thought about in that first round, Bijan Robinson. More obviously they're getting a new coach and new offense system. Who knows what's going to happen there? I also had Cooper Kupp. I know that's a tough situation with Puka coming back. I still think Cooper is the main guy. But that was tough. And then I also had Patrick Mahomes and Breece Hall in the mix too. Breece Hall was tremendous too.
Yeah, I thought about Jonathan Taylor too, but
yeah. So there you have it. Well, gentlemen, that's it. This 2023 NFL seasons. Oh, you know what? I didn't even go back to this. I was talking to Mikey about this. I gotta bring this up. Hold on one second. So we all picked our Super Bowl picks in the draft recap show. Todd, do you remember who you picked?
49ers and Chiefs, and I said 49ers win it all.
And Todd is the closest. Well, that's not true. Well, Todd can get both teams. Mikey picked Dallas against the Bills, but had the Bills winning, so Bills are still in it. I picked the Bills and Eagles with the Eagles winning, and we just saw the Eagles lose a couple nights ago, or last night, actually. So you two still have a chance to get your Super Bowl champion in there. Well done.
Nice.
So Eric got the board bets. Mikey got the bold predictions. And Todd got the championship, which is really what we all pine and aspire to reach.
Oh, yeah. Solve that Rubik's Cube is still just, still in awe, And,
oh, man.
See, that's what my trophy should be, a Rubik's Cube. Like instead of a football helmet.
Maybe because they have not restocked the normal
really?
trophy yet. I've checked again this morning, and they have because I always get our baseball one and our fantasy football one at the same time, and they have not had the fantasy football one yet.
Really?
So keep an eye on that. Yeah, maybe they're just everybody's following suit. Everybody wants that same trophy as we do.
Yeah.
So any last words, gentlemen? Mikey?
Go
ahead, Todd. You're starting your sentence. Go for it.
I was going to say, I'm just going to enjoy this reign as champion and, milk it for all it's worth. And it's all I can, that's all I can really do. And, because again, next year, now I'm the hunted now. And when you're the hunted, people coming for you.
Hey. It's gonna be a long year.
How did Todd win again? I'm trying to figure this out.
I can't figure it out. CMC.
CMC
and Brock Purdy.
Yep.
With a little Mike Evans drizzled in there.
There you go, right there, drizzled in there. I like that. That's pretty good.
Mikey, any parting words, whether it be for Todd or for the audience or for anything?
Yeah. When it comes to bold predictions, listen to me. I guess when it comes to winning a championship, listen to Todd. So
I'd love to do a poll and say who believes.
Say
who believes in that and listen to Todd and win a championship. It'd be what, 1%?
Yeah, pretty much. But yet, that 1% though, whoever, that 1%, I'd look at that and go, okay. All right, I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go draft. Another unknown name quarterback. Backup quarterback somewhere and win a championship. So let's see what happens. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, very cool. So that'll do it for this season. Todd's the champ. The MHA season number 23 coming in 2024. So hopefully we'll have everyone back. We loved having you guys here. There's a couple of you on the show. Trash talking during the season, always at the draft. That's what it's all about for me. I mean, we all love to win, but it's all about keeping up with our friends that we've met many years ago or even just a few years ago. But what a season. Getting ready for the next one. For Mikey Renault, Todd Diamond the champ, I'm Eric Lansing the Dak hater. We'll see you next year on the MHA podcast.